Hello, welcome to the Sport Life YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Ward. Let's get right into the video. In this video, we're going to be talking about some surprise fantasy football contributors. This is mainly for the Dynasty community, but in redraft, you might want to keep an eye on these guys as the waiver wire keeps going. But these are just some surprise contributors from some rookies that I'm mainly looking at situation and volume and the potential that it could present these guys to actually become better players than we thought they would be coming out. I'm going to start off with the running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, Mike Washington. You would think that Gene T is going to get all the touches. He's the number 4 pick out of Boise, really hyped coming out. He's their second best offensive player behind Bowers. Yes, I think Bowers is a better player right now than Gene T. But you look at Clint Kubiak and where he came from, right? Like, he came from Seattle. Look at their situation. Ken Walker did not get the ball all the time. Now, I think Gene T is a more talented player than Kenneth Walker, and Kenneth Walker is a really good running back. So I'm not saying like the gap is huge. It's not. But they split time with Charbonnet and and Kenny. And when you look at it, like, you look at the kind of player Mike Washington is, he's a bruiser. He's that kind of ideal. We're gonna power run, 2 tight end set. We're gonna maul you down inside the 5. Like, he's that kind of a bruising, low center of gravity guy. And you're just curious, again, a lot of this stuff is with Clint's system, it's predicated off the run game. They're going to, ideally, I think they want to run the ball like 35, 40 times a game. I actually think that's like his dream scenario. And you're like, damn, that's a lot of touches. But I don't think he wants to put his rookie quarterback in a situation where he has to throw 40 times a game. Like, I don't think he wants to be in that realm. And I think he wants to control the clock. He wants to control the ball. And that's what I think his philosophy is going to be going into this season. And so with that being said, like, you're not giving Gene T the ball 30 times a game. Because by the time they're contenders, ideally, like in their timeline, in their head, we can't burn out our second best offensive weapon. We can't run this guy into the ground and just have him just get destroyed. So I think Washington actually is going to end up with more touches than you might think, based on the kind of style he came from, and I just think it makes more sense. Like, you look at some of the early on running backs in their careers, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs, he had David Montgomery taking touches off him. Bijan, even though to a detriment, had Tyler Algier taking touches from him. I think with Gene T, there wasn't really a guy to really justify giving the touches to over him. We'll see how Mike looks. Again, with all these things, like, pay attention to what you're seeing, what you're reading. Pay attention to how he looks. Like, do you think he'll be justified being a guy that's going to get double-digit touches? Like, I don't know. Even you saw last year, like Travion Henderson with Ramondre Stevenson, even though that situation was a little weird. Or Marion Hampton with Kamani Vidal and Najee Harris. Like, traditionally, I think the NFL is wanting to preserve these young running backs instead of running them into the ground. And they want them for the long term. And so with Clint, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike gets a little more of those more physical inside touches, inside the 5, bruising. Like, I could totally see him getting those touches. And I'm not saying that's going to produce a 10 touchdown season. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that it's going to be something to keep an eye on. Like, that might be I could potentially see 6, 7, 8 touchdowns out of that guy if it plays out the way I think it potentially could play out. And that's something to keep an eye on. And, because again, you just look at the Raiders, their best wide receiver is Naylor. It's terrible. That's their best wideout. Jack Beck and Naylor. Damn. Like, that damn. It's like, it's Bowers and Gene T. So it's like, just from playmakers, like guys that are going to make plays. They don't have that. They have two guys that are definitely going to get the ball. And then outside of that, they're looking for pieces. So even from just that standpoint, like they're just looking for playmakers. If Mike Washington can be a playmaker, they're going to get him the ball. They need to have guys that can just make plays. Like they just lack talent. Okay. And I think they drafted him in the 4th round. So again, like I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think there's a lot of hype on him, but I would just keep a close eye on that guy, Mike Washington for the Raiders. Another guy that I think, and again, you're going to see a common theme here. It's just like lack of talent and it's volume and opportunity that can be presented to these guys. Malachi Fields, wide receiver for the New York Giants. Even with Neighbors healthy, it's Neighbors, it's Cam, it's Isaiah. From a wide receiver room standpoint, like they got Jalen Hyatt. I think Darius Slayton's still there. But I don't think those two are in their long-term plans. And if this Malachi Fields guy, like, I could see him getting significant touches just to find out what they got. And then if Neighbors isn't totally healthy to start the year, then that's even more opportunity for him to potentially impact this offense, right? And you got Matt Nagy. I think and comes from the Andy Reid style, right? Like I think he wants to come out throwing the ball. I think he's going to balance it, with Cam, but like he's going to want to find out what he's got in these weapons with Jackson Dart. Right, and he's a big guy. We'll see how he looks in training camp. Like, what are you seeing? But these are guys I would keep an eye on because there are targets out there for guys to get. Wan'Dale Robinson left; he's gone, and you would think naturally Isaiah Likely is going to get a lot of touches. I personally think he's going to have a big year, but there's got to be some sort of wide receiver too that gets fantasy relevant touches to make him somewhat fantasy relevant. And I'm not saying I think he's going to be that, but I look at situation. I think he fits a need in terms of his size. And I think there's a quarterback that's got enough talent to spread it around and make an impact. Like, there's an opportunity there. So that would be a guy I would heavily look at as we go further. I also look at that division. That division boasts one really strong secondary in Philadelphia. I don't think the Commanders have a strong secondary. I don't believe in the Cowboys secondary. And I think the Giants are going to have to put up points. So, there's going to be a lot of opportunity going forward. So he's a guy that I really like as we go forward. All right, this is probably my favorite guy, and I think he's starting to slip into the back end of the first round of Dynasty rookie drafts. Because I don't know if there's a clear starting role for him. But this might be a situation where there may not be, and he's still going to get touches. Eli Stowers, tight end, Philadelphia Eagles. Now, he's probably the second best tight end coming out of this rookie draft. And here's the thing I just like to follow on, because he hasn't really proven me wrong. Like, Howie Roseman just nails draft picks. That dude just gets it right in the high-end rounds. He always gets it right. Like, Jalen Reagor, maybe the only one, right? I mean, I can't think of another first or second round pick that he hasn't gotten right that hasn't turned to be a really high-end player. And like, Stowers doesn't have to start right away. He doesn't have to get thrust into this thing right away. He gets a year to sit behind Dallas Goedert, right? Much like how Goddard got to sit behind Zach Ertz, and then Zach Ertz had to sit behind Brent Selleck, right? Like, he's going to have the opportunity to learn from this guy and get better. And I think he's a really talented player. He's a big dude. I think he might be a better blocker than Kenyon Sadiq. Sadiq just projects more as like a bigger wide receiver that plays the position at tight end. But I think Eli Stowers makes more sense as a tight end. And I think this offense is gonna change a little bit. Like, I think you're gonna see a lot more two tight end sets with Sean Mannion, and how they're gonna want to get back to running the ball really well with Saquon Barkley. So it makes sense for them to have Goddard and have Stowers both on the field at the same time for their team to be productive going forward. Like, I see that happening. And with that happening, like, if you look back on some of Goddard's early years, he was a productive fantasy tight end, even with Zach Ertz on the team. Just go back and look at when those two both played. Like, Goddard was productive. He was somewhat of an asset. And then same thing with Stowers. Like, I think he could still be an asset. Like, you look at their quality of pass catchers outside of Devontae. Like, Mekhi Lemon's going to get the ball. He's a first-round pick. Like, you're hoping this dude's something. Can't have another bust like that, especially when you basically said we're going to trade AJ and then we're just going to use you for some of his targets. I know they got Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, stuff like that, etc. But Mekhi Lemon's going to get the ball. Goddard's going to get the ball because Jalen trusts him. But the Eagles are going to want to develop Eli Stowers because after this year, Goddard's gone. He's gone. As long as Stowers develops and doesn't turn out to be a complete bust. And so from that standpoint, I think he is going to get more targets than people think, even with Goddard there. And if Goddard goes down, you see how Jalen loves his tight ends. Like, that could be a pretty good situation. Like, if Goddard wasn't there, I personally would view Eli Stowers ahead of Kenyon Sadiq in a dynasty rookie drafts. And to be honest, I probably should. From a dynasty perspective, I should have the patience to be like, Stowers will become better in a better situation than Sadiq is with the Jets. And so I'm really curious to see how he's using this offense. I think he is going to be on the field a lot with Goddard, more than people think, because I think they do want to run the ball more and they want to play off that a little bit more. So, yeah, just going forward, keep an eye on what you think they look like in camp and listen to what reporters are saying and seeing, like, hey, they're actually playing heavy line. They're going a lot of 21 personnel. Like, just keep an eye on some of those things because that could really present a nice player going forward and someone that might surprise you. My last player that I want to keep an eye on, and again, theme, opportunity, targets. Antonio Williams, wide receiver, Washington Commanders. There is not a more bare wide receiver room after Terry McLaurin. Like, after Terry, there is no one I can think of. Now, as I sit here today, like, they could take back Debo. They could sign Stephon Diggs. They could go get somebody and replace and go get a wide receiver too. So, like, that can happen and it can totally change the trajectory of this team, right? But, like, Jane Daniels is coming back. I still believe in him as a passer and as a player. He was really hurt last year. I think he's coming back healthy. And I think he's going to have something to prove. And Terry's going to be the number one. Absolutely. He's going to get his 140-something plus targets. Like, he's going to be the guy. I really, maybe this is saying how bad of a football mind I am, but I cannot think of another second option behind Terry other than Chiga Kwankwo, who I think could be a nice fantasy tight end. Outside of that, I don't know. So just from, like, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Like, there's opportunity. There's targets. There's a chance for someone to make an impact as a rookie that you weren't anticipating. And he's not, Antonio Williams is not going in the first round of dynasty drafts. And I don't know if he's going in the first half of the second round of dynasty drafts, or at least being considered. Maybe as time goes on and his hype builds up, maybe he slips into the front half of the second round. But I don't view him that highly. But again, he could be a guy with the opportunity and with targets could outperform some guys we're higher on. So again, just keep an eye on that. Like, Daniel's a really talented player. I think of when they went to the NFC Championship game, like Diami Brown really got busy behind Terry McLaurin as his second option. Zach Ertz actually had a really good year. That's why I think Chiga Kwankwo is going to have a really solid year with Jaden Daniels. But he can support another fantasy relevant wide receiver too in this offense. And they're going to need somebody because there's no doubt all the defensive tension is going to be shifted towards Terry. Like, they're just not going to let Terry beat them all game. Like, Terry's going to get his. He's a really good wide receiver. But they're going to be searching for somebody to take some sort of pressure off of him and to help support this offense. And so he's going to be another guy I'm going to keep an eye on. again, these are guys you can get late in redraft. You may not even have to draft them. You could get them after the draft. Keep an eye on the waiver wire, see if they blow up, and then in dynasty drafts, like I would keep an eye on them. If you feel comfortable taking them at a certain spot, trade up, and you may not have to give up a whole lot. And they could be some surprise pieces for you going forward. All right, those are some dark horse guys that I think could contribute in their rookie year that maybe you guys aren't thinking about. Hope you guys liked the video. Hit like and subscribe. Drop a comment in the comment section. Mention a guy I didn't think of, or dispute one of the guys I brought up. Like I said, I always like to debate. Hey, hope you guys have a great day. See ya.